Hello, I'm Bill Stripling with Stripling Custom Gun Works, and sitting in here in my beautiful 2002 Country Coach Allure to talk to you a little bit about the fan tamer and make a little video on the install and talk a little bit about what it does and what it doesn't do. And in first place, let me say that I'm a horrible video maker and I'm not good at editing. So this is going to be a long and drawn out and rough video, and for that, my apologies. Now, your motorhome currently, if your cooling system, if your hydraulic fan is stuck in high, it's running 100% cooling capacity at all times. That's really hard on your system. It burns excess fuel, creates a huge dust storm, and all that. Well, in the past, people put wax valves on, and they're almost impossible to find now, and word is they're probably not ever going to be made again. And then the absolute unreliability of the electronic controllers is, the horror stories that they're expensive and people continue to have problems with them. So the fan tamer was designed to be less expensive. It's probably not less expensive than wax valves, but it's less expensive than putting another electronic controller on there that most likely going to fail. The thing about it is the components on it are relatively inexpensive. While they're all top quality, best I can get and put in them, that's what I put in them. And the price reflects that because they're expensive to make, so therefore they're expensive to buy. Now, are you going to see cooling problems with the fan tamer? Your motorhome is going to run hotter with the fan tamer than it does running 100% cooling capacity at all time. But the fact is your motorhome was never designed to run with 100% cooling capacity at all times. So you will see increasing temperatures in the transmission and the engine. But the increases in the way the fan tamer is designed, it's not going to be outside of the engine perimeters unless you're in some really, really, really tough pulls. And so if it is overheating with the fan tamer, it was overheating without it. But where your coach, because it's running in high all the time, may see 184, 185 temperatures most times, you are going to see some 195 and possibly some 200-degree temperatures in your motorhome that when you're in extreme loaded conditions and under heavy pulls. The thing is you don't really have to worry about it until you start seeing temperatures of like 210 or so, and then at that time, your fan tamer is already running in high speed, as high as it's going to possibly run, and you're going to have to downshift or back out of it. But until you see 200, 205, don't worry about it. Just drive it. The fan tamer will reduce your dust cloud if it's adjusted properly. And and you should see an improvement in fuel economy. It was quite a bit improvement in mine, but I can't guarantee it's going to be that way to everyone. And you're going to notice a much quieter ride in your motorhome from it running high all the time. It does do that. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the install on this. The install, I did not show in the videos how to remove the tube to weld the bungs in, because there's so many different coaches and different setups. So, you're going to kind of be on your own on that. But I do provide the parts to do it, and I'm available by phone to help if you need it. And then secondly, in the installs I've done so far, since we were draining the coolant out of it anyway, we went ahead and did a complete coolant drain and flush, and went back with the NOAT coolant, so you don't have to worry so much about your SCTs, and that coolant will protect your engine for a much longer period of time. So I'll get into the video and hope you bear with me. Thanks. First thing we're going to do is identify the tube from the thermostat or water neck outlet. And we're going to locate where we're going to put our temperature sensors and mark it with a Sharpie. And then we're going to drain the coolant and pull this pipe out and take it and have the bungs welded in. We're going to remove these 4 screws with a T25 Torx. Now we're going to remove these two, this connector and this connector. We're going to have our plugs ready because they are going to spill some fluid, so you want to have a pan under them. Okay, so I've installed with Loctite the 4 1032 screws I supplied, which bolt the fan tamer to the fan tamer bracket, and I've sandwiched the bracket with 3 screws. Between the Danfoss controller and the valve body. I've installed the 2 coils onto the fan tamer. One of them was marked white, one was marked with red, and the fan tamer has marks to know which one each goes to. The final connections have been made. The ground goes to the posi tap. The red positive goes to the positive terminal. We've got our clamp bracket, got it zip tied to route up to the switches. We've got our wires connected to the temperature switches. Polarity doesn't really matter. You just got to put the red-white wire on the switch that's marked red and white, and the black-brown wire on the switch that's marked black and brown. And again, secure them so they can't get into any of the moving parts of the engine to get on anything hot. We're using the airlift now to pull the coolant back into the machine. So you got your medium speed adjustment and your low speed adjustment. To start adjusting it, completely close both valves. Completely closed, and that will put the fan into high speed. This has to be done with the cold engine. Then open the medium speed, the lower one only, until you get to a desired high speed or medium speed fan, which it's not a whole lot of reduction, but you want to slow it down enough that the fan's not running at high speed all the time, and that on pretty good hard pulls, only then will it actually kick into high speed. Then you're going to lock the lock ring and the adjuster down, and then we're going to adjust the low speed. And again, you're going to want to keep a pretty reasonable flow through it to help with your AC compressor and that sort of thing. And then once you get it where you want it, lock it down and then test drive it. And every time you adjust this, the engine needs to be cold. And anytime you adjust the medium speed, the low speed must be turned completely off. Okay, now that you got your fan tamer installed and you're ready to test drive it, really you're going to need to drive it for 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to get a full heat soak in that engine to show what it's going to do. Driving at 15, 20 minutes, the engine's just not going to reach the temperature. While your temperature gauge may show, that it's acts like it's working and everything, well, your thermostat's opening and closing as the cooler water gets in there. Your fan tamer's shifting, with the temperatures, but it takes a full engine heat soak before you actually know what it's going to do. So take your time and drive it. And again, if the fan tamer is failing or whatever, it's always going to fail to high speed. So you're going to be right back to what you have. So if you've adjusted it wrong, you lose power to it or whatever, it's still going to go into that high speed no matter what. And so with that being said, still keep a mind on your engine temperatures and stuff, because, other systems can fail. So keep an eye on it, drive it, and what you're watching for is to listen for when that fan kicks into high. And if that fan kicks into high and stays on high for long periods of time, then you probably need to speed your medium speed up on that fan tamer a little bit. If if it hardly ever goes into high, you may want to try to slow it down a little bit just to try to save some fuel. Another thing is, if you've got the fan set too low, then when you come off of an interstate or wherever you've been driving, your coach is running 195 degrees, it's got to cool back down to 185 degrees before it'll go into low speed. So if you come right off the interstate into a gravel parking lot, you're going to have a pretty solid dust cloud. Not like what you had when it was running wide open, but still a considerable dust cloud. Keeping that medium speed a little bit higher helps that engine cool back down below that 185 to actually get the fan back into a lower speed quicker. So I suggest you err to faster than slower, because I think you'll benefit from that. And then as you see, later on, you start running it in 110 degree temperatures and stuff, it's going to run in high more in a higher heat ambient temperature than it will in cooler temperatures. But that's just the nature of the beast. Also, if you have not done it, you've been blowing dust and everything all through your radiator and your cooling, your air filtration system and everything, go ahead and wash your radiator out. If you need to, or if you can, depending on how you hooked it up, if you can pull the fuse, that will put the fan back into high speed. And with the fan running at high speed and the motor idling on a cool engine, take a water hose and spray it through that radiator and rinse as much of the dust and stuff out of it as you can, and that'll significantly improve your cooling efficiency. If you can't, because some of the Danfoss controllers were hooked up through an ignition circuit, so if you pull that fuse, your motorhome's not going to start. So go ahead and in that situation, you can remove the brown and the white wire from your temperature switches, and if you remove those wires, that will also if you disconnect those wires, that will also put you back into high speed, just for cleaning your radiator, testing to see how it goes. The black and brown wires that are on the lower temperature switch, the red and white wires are on the hotter temperature switch. So if you want to see how it's doing without having to get down there and manually close the needle valves, go ahead and just disconnect one of those wires, and you'll hear your fan shift and see what it's doing. But anyway, again, I'm always available for phone calls and questions. And if you ever have any part issues, these things I'm going to warranty them for as long as you own the coach. If a solenoid goes out, just call me. We'll get it taken care of. I don't really foresee that a needle valve will fail or whatever. But should they do it, hey, I'm going to replace it. So good luck. And if you have questions, feel free to give me a call.